It arises from interactions between amino acids that are not close in primary sequence. That's definition. Tertiary structure arises from interactions between amino acids that are not close in primary structure, primary sequence. Okay? Now, I'll show you what that means in the figure in a little bit. I need to tell you that so you can understand what's happening with fibrous proteins. Fibrous proteins don't have those bends. Okay? They're fibers. That's what we call them fibrous proteins. That's why your hair has the sort of character that your hair has. Okay? You look at fingernails. They're also made of a different type of modified keratin as well. Okay? So fibrous proteins have regular repeating structures, mostly primary and secondary structures, very little tertiary. But the third type of fibrous protein that I haven't talked about, the third type of helical structure, and that third type of helical structure, as I said last time, is what arises in collagen. So collagen, I finished up last time pointing out that collagen is really unusual. First of all, it has not one, but three helices that are interwound with each other, called triple helix. Okay? In the helix, it is a set of helices, and the helices have sequences that look like this. Now, the sequences that look like this are interesting, as I know, because they contain a lot of proline. They contain a modified form of proline called hydroxyproline, so those green HYPs are there. And they contain a lot of glycine. Now, we first talked about before, glycine is very flexible. It allows that inflexibility of that proline to be sort of overcompensated for, and allows this to form helical structures. Now, the hydroxyproline is a considerable interest from a biochemical perspective, because A, the amino acid we haven't seen in proteins, not one of 20 that I gave you. So how does it get into proteins? It turns out it gets into proteins after collagen is made. So many of these sort of unusual amino acids that we see in proteins result from modifications of existing amino acids that are in proteins. How does it get modified? Well, proline gets modified in a very interesting reaction. The interesting reaction involves, not surprisingly, putting on a hydroxyl group onto the proline molecule. Now, the addition of that hydroxyl group actually requires a vitamin. It requires a vitamin. One of the only places we know in biology where vitamin is needed for a chemical reaction. Okay? It's needed as a component of a chemical reaction. Vitamin is needed here is vitamin C. Okay? Vitamin C. Now, why is this important? Well, collagen, as I said last time, is the most abundant protein that's in your body. It's the glue that literally holds you together. Right? It makes your cells together. It gives the strength to cartilage. To cartilage, it gives strength to tendons and things like that. So having strong collagen is important. So how do we get strong collagen? Well, the hydroxyproline is an important component of that strong collagen. It turns out that the hydroxyproline can form chemical reactions with other hydroxyl groups in other chains. There are chains that are wound together. So if you braid your hair, for example, you know something about braiding and the strength that braiding gives. Take a rope by taking small fibers and braiding them together, and you get bigger and bigger things that have a bit more strength. And so what happens in collagen is these fibers are sort of braided with each other. Okay? And that gives strength. But as you know, if you braid your hair and you don't tie it off the rubber band, what happens? It comes undone. Okay? That's what happens with collagen. The collagen doesn't get chemically modified. If those hydroxyl groups don't get put onto proline to make hydroxyproline, there's no rubber band that holds them together. It turns out the rubber bands are covalent bonds between those hydroxyl groups. Alright. Now, so what that means then is that if you have plenty of vitamin C, you have plenty of those bonds between the hydroxyl groups, and the strands are held nice and tight together. They don't come undone, and you don't come undone. If you are vitamin C deficient, which virtually nobody is these days, but if you're vitamin C deficient, then what happens is your collagen comes undone. You get a condition called scurvy. Scurvy literally falls apart. Because your collagen is weak, it doesn't have the support that you need in things. Because I would like to tell the story, this is originally discovered among the old timers of old, where they went out on long sea voyages, and the only food they ate for the most part was salted meat, because they didn't have refrigeration, that's how they kept themselves. And salted meat doesn't have virtually any vitamin C, so they got these great big bulky sticky masses, and they would come back in small weak sticky masses. And that's what happened with pirates. Okay? So vitamin C is a very, very important component for strength of tissue. It's worth knowing that the older you get, the more accumulated collagen that you have that is concentrated. And is why an old teacher like me is very flexible with a bunch of young teachers like you. Okay? Because your collagen is younger, it's not very concentrated. Okay, let's just stop that. Right, your values, yeah. That's right, the hydroxyls actually split out water in reaction to each other. They form a covalent bond. That covalent bond, under a band, is actually tighter than a band. It's solid plate. Exactly. She said you basically have to have enough frequency of hydroxylation of proline in order to have the bonds form. If you look here, you see hydroxyproline occurs fairly frequently. And so there is abundant hydroxylation that occurs that gives rise to the bonds shaped like collagen. Yeah. I think influence is needed for a chemical reaction. It's one of the only places where the vitamin is a necessary component of a chemical reaction. You'll see later that D vitamins play a role in oxidation and energy transfer and things like that, but they're not used in the process. Okay? They're used as coenzymes. They're not used as a chemical component. The vitamin C actually is a chemical component that's used in this reaction. Okay? Yes, important. They are. So just hold the brain together. That's basically what we're doing. The more linking, the stronger the collagen. Alright, yeah, one more thing. Vitamin C is consumed in this reaction. It is. So you have to eat vitamin C. Vitamin C has other role. Vitamin C is an antioxidant. We'll say a little bit more about antioxidants later in the term. But in this case, it's actually needed for a chemical reaction. Okay, let's see, where else am I mentioning? There's proline, glycine, blah, blah, blah. There is collagen structure, certain different helices and how they're wound together in the form of a braid. And last but not least, there's more of those interactions, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's turn our attention now to tertiary structure, because tertiary structure is really the nuts and bolts of a protein structure. Primary structure with the sequence of amino acids determine all the other properties. The primary structure determines the secondary structure. And primary structure ultimately determines tertiary structure as well. The tertiary structure is, as I said, a folding phenomenon. And when I showed you the structure of ferritin on Monday, you noticed that ferritin had mostly alpha helices, but I pointed out that they were sort of arranged with each other in three-dimensional space. That arrangement of them, the way they get that way, occurs through the phenomenon known as folding. So folding arranges those two-dimensional structures in three-dimensional space. That's what's happening when we're folding a protein. It's like a myoglobin. Myoglobin is a real good example. Myoglobin is mostly alpha-ketone seeds. I've been showing you these proteins that are mostly alpha-ketone seeds, and most proteins are mixtures of alpha-ketone and beta strands. But here's myoglobin. Myoglobin, we're going to talk a lot more about next week. And myoglobin is a protein that is involved in holding on to and storing oxygen in your muscles. Very important protein for storing oxygen in your muscles. You hear the word globin in there, you think it's related to hemoglobin, and the answer is yes, it is. You'll see the relationship later. But like hemoglobin, myoglobin has an oxygen binding component. The oxygen binding component is a heme group. They're called this heme group. It does have a heme group in it. It's called myoglobin. It's a muscle. Myoglobin is muscles. Myoglobin is a real good example of a protein with tertiary structure. They said most proteins that exist in cells have tertiary structure. That structure looks very random, but it's not random at all. If I take the same sequence of myoglobin and I make it in the cell, I take another sequence of the same sequence of myoglobin, take another cell, when they fold, they will have exactly that shape right there. That tells us that folding, not a random process, is driven by something, and that something that's driven by is the sequence of amino acids. Now, I'll give you a sort of surprising analysis of that in a little bit that I think will give you an idea of the complexity of folding. We don't know a lot of the parameters of folding. We're very, very, very good at predicting portions of a protein that will have alpha units. And we're very, very, very good at predicting portions of a protein that will have beta strands. And we're also very good at recognizing where folds will occur. But putting all of those together into a three-dimensional structure, we're not good at it at all. There's a good likelihood we're never going to be able to completely predict the three-dimensional structure of a protein just from its amino acid sequence. I'll show you why that's the case in a minute. Okay, so again, I want to reiterate that we see these regions of random coil, the regions of random coil are the beds, and those beds are orienting these things in three-dimensional space. As a result, then we might say, if we look at the protein seekers, one end of the protein here, we can see this is the amino end, and this is the carboxyl end, and which protein is. Look at this amino end, this is the carboxyl end. This is amino acid number 1. Amino acid number 1. Right here, let's say this coil, we're looking at amino acid number 10. And I said secondary structure arises from interaction between amino acids that are less than 10 away. So here's the coil, here's number 10 interacting with number 17, they're only 7 apart, that's a secondary structure, it's a secondary interaction. However, this guy here might also be interacting with this coil that's over here, and this coil might be amino acid number 71, for example. In this case, number 10 interacting with 71, that's more than 10 amino acids away, that's a tertiary structure. So tertiary structure arises from interaction between amino acids that are not close in primary sequence. Okay. Now, we'll say a lot more about myoglobin and hemoglobin are fascinating proteins, and I'm going to go into that at this point. When we look at the distribution of amino acids that are present in myoglobin, we see something kind of interesting. The yellow amino acids here are, well, that's not very good example. We'll point you to that here. Okay. Actually, don't do that. Fine. So here's myoglobin. Now, what they've done with this coloring on this structure that you're seeing a three-dimensional representation of myoglobin, is they color the amino acids according to whether they're hydrophilic or whether they're hydrophobic. Okay? Now, what you see is a sort of a general pattern. I think it's a little hard to see in this case, I have to say. But most globular proteins fold themselves in specific ways. The general rule for the way that most of them fold themselves is that they arrange their hydrophilic amino acids on the outside portion of the protein. That makes very good sense if you think about it, because most proteins are floating around dissolved in the cytoplasm of the cell, the cytoplasm being an aqueous environment. And so having those hydrophilic amino acids interacting with the water that's out there helps them to be soluble in some way. That's very good. The hydrophobics, by contrast, don't like to interact with water so much. And we see that they can, and this is like the backside here, they can be found on the inside of the protein. And what they do on the inside of the protein is they interact with each other. This is kind of like the water and oil thing that I talked about in the first day of class. Oil droplets tend to accumulate and associate with each other because they don't like water. They stay with their own. Water stays with each other. Similarly, the hydrophobic amino acids are associated with each other, and as they associate with each other, they exclude water from the inside portion of the protein. They exclude water. Everybody's happy with this. This actually turns out to be a driving force in folding most proteins. It's called the hydrophobic effect. The hydrophobic effect arises from the preference of hydrophobic amino acids to interact with each other and not with water. That's why most proteins have them on the inside portion of the protein. It's easier to get there, it's easier to squeeze water out, and everybody's happy. This turns out to be a force that stabilizes the tertiary structure of the proteins. A force that stabilizes them. Because they prefer to associate with each other, because they prefer not to have water there, they will hold on to each other and resist the open up and letting water in. So it's a stabilizing force for tertiary structure. I told you that when we look at secondary structure, we saw hydrogen bonds were the most important forces. And you might wonder, do hydrogen bonds play a role in stabilizing tertiary structure? The answer is absolutely yes, they do. It absolutely does. There's a third force that is very important for stabilizing tertiary structure that's not so important for secondary structure. And that force turns out to be a new covalent bond. That new covalent bond that we see actually forms between cysteine residues. Remember I talked about how those SH groups can interact with each other and form a disulfide bond. The disulfide bond is a sulfur-sulfur bond. It's a covalent bond. It's the strongest of the forces that stabilize protein structure. And it provides very good strength in terms of architecture for holding a protein into its configuration. I'll show you some examples later in the series today about how that uses very amazing stuff. And there's three forces there. You have hydrogen bonds, you have hydrophobic bonds, you have disulfide bonds, there's also ionic bonds. Ionic bonds, you never ionize a portion of the protein. You have a plus charge attracted to a minus charge, for example. That's going to be a pretty good force helping them pull together, stabilizing the protein. Now, there's a last one that I want to talk about in this class, and I don't think that for most proteins very strong, but there's also forces called metallic bonds that can, in fact, also contribute to the stability of the structure of tertiary structure. I talk a lot about stability, I talk about a lot of forces that hold proteins in three-dimensional structure, and you might think that the three-dimensional structure of a protein is pretty stable. And for some proteins it is, but for most proteins it's not. All those forces together, for example, pretty much for most proteins cannot be stable with something like boiling. Okay? These proteins are stable at the temperature at which you live. So we live at about 37 degrees centigrade, our proteins are very stable at 37 degrees centigrade. The get much above that, your protein starts in nature, and there's problems with that. Like the earlier one include, for example, we kill the nature of the proteins of the bacteria die. But there are bacteria, for example, that live in environments like thermal vents where it's extraordinarily hot. And we look at them, we see their proteins are stable with higher temperatures than they weren't, which they would be a lot. Now, I can tell you all about structure. Here is the, I'm jumping at one of the second one. Here's the formation of a disulfide bond. This is what a disulfide bond looks like. There are two cysteines that are close to each other. When they're close to each other, they oxidize. Notice this oxidation reaction leading to the right. You can tell it's an oxidation reaction by virtue of the fact that electrons are lost. Protons are lost as well. They can NS bond, and this bond is covalent. It's a very strong bond. Then it's a reversible reaction, and we'll see that cells have the ability to convert disulfide bonds back into sulfhydryls, what these are on the left. Cells have the ability to do that conversion using some very interesting molecule that again we'll talk about later. I do not like the term cystine. Don't use it. Okay, it's not really any specific thing. We'll talk about it in the it's just because you get cystine that doesn't have any in the context of the protein. So you always have a chain hanging around there, so don't use the term cystine. We talk about amino acids, we'll talk about cysteine. When we talk about disulfide bonds, let's just talk about that. We'll call it cystine. Now, let's talk about exception to the rule that I gave you about hydrophobic amino acids being on the inside of protein. I think, folks, I'm very careful when I said the description that I said that most proteins have their hydrophilics on the outside and their hydrophobics on the inside. There are exceptions to that rule. And the exception, one of the exceptions to that rule is kind of an interesting thing. It's not that rare of an exception. We might think, well, why would there be exceptions? Because proteins, our body is, 75% water. These proteins have to resist this environment. Why aren't all proteins arranged in this way? And the answer is that not all proteins are dissolved in the cytoplasm. Many proteins function and are embedded in membranes. And we'll talk about membrane structure later. I'm sure you've seen in basic biology. The membranes have what's called a lipid bilayer. And the lipid bilayer has a very hydrophobic component. Here is a protein called corn. It sort of violates that rule that I gave you earlier. First of all, I'll note that corn is a protein that's embedded in the lipid bilayer. So it's interacting with water on its outside, it's interacting with hydrophobic side chains on the lipid bilayer. We see that the yellow amino acids that are the hydrophobic ones are oriented mostly on the outside. And curiously, on the inside, you see hydrophilic amino acids. Why are they there? Well, it turns out the reason that they're there is because corn has a function. It's not just sitting in the membrane doing nothing. Its function in the membrane is to let water in. And guess where water comes in through? That hole right there. Those hydrophilic amino acids are, in fact, on the inside of this protein, interacting with water. And so we see again, this structure, this essential for function, the structure has evolved to allow the function that this protein has to actually occur. The function that's occurring is that we're letting water into the cell through this protein. And water comes in on a path where there's hydrophobic amino acids. If you have hydrophobic amino acids on the inside of this protein, water won't come in. Okay, question again. Why are terrific? So corn, T-O-R-I-N. Protein called corn. Yes, sir. What is it? It's a general sense. You can see some in here, of course, but in general, the hydrophobes are on the outside. So let's talk about better protein. There are actually proteins on rice. It's a general thing. It's insulin. Insulin is an example of what we call a peptide hormone. Everybody's heard of insulin. Everybody knows that diabetics have issues related to insulin. We'll talk about some of those issues later in turn. Insulin is a protein that has tertiary structure. It also has an interesting component. Insulin has disulfide bonds. You can see insulin also has two chains. It has what's called an A chain and what's called a B chain. This tells us that it has two polypeptide chains. And they're held together by disulfide bonds. Without the disulfide bonds, A won't take B. Insulin has no function, and you can't handle sugar the way that insulin does handle sugar. That's one of the questions I guess this was wrong in diabetes. The answer is no. This is wrong in diabetes. Insulin is made as a single polypeptide chain. One continuous chain. It folds, and when it folds, the disulfide bonds form, and then a protease comes along and puts it so the two chains, so the one chain becomes two. Now, the reason I point this out to you illustrates, again, the importance of folding. If folding doesn't happen before the protease makes the contact to clip this, then these chains won't. The disulfide bonds will not be able to form. The two chains will not, in fact, be able to pair. This was also an example of a protein that has a disulfide bond between amino acids like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, based on 5 amino acids apart. It's a rare example where you see a disulfide bond in secondary structure. For the most part, they're not very big components of secondary structure. One of the things we'll talk about with respect to the tertiary structures are common features of tertiary structures. So there are common patterns anyway, so we look at it as a question. So the disulfide bonds have to be formed before so that because it's formed after the disulfide bond, they're away. So, as I said, when we look at proteins with tertiary structure, we see some common features and common ways in which they pull to make common structures. We'll talk a little bit about some of these again later in the term, but here's an example of a very common we see called helix, turn, helix. A helix, a turn, and a helix. As I said, in one direction we turn, and this is going essentially about 90 degrees in the other direction. This structure turns out to be very common, as we can see, in certain proteins that bind to nucleic acids. And again, I'll say more about this later. You see in this structure, though, is what we refer to as a common structural feature. A common structural feature is called domain. What is the domain of the protein? Helix, turn, helix. And we'll say more about domains. Yeah, I have a question. I'm sorry. I use the term domain and we'll keep interchanging, so thank you for asking that. It's a common question. So technically they're not the same thing, but I use those terms interchange with domain examples. Okay, and there's a protein that will say about that. That concludes what I want to say about tertiary structure, okay? So we sit our way through now, we finished 3 levels of protein structure, we're on our last one now called quaternary structure. And quaternary structure is probably the easiest of the 4 to understand. You actually have already seen quaternary structure, I just didn't tell you what it was. When you saw insulin, you were looking at quaternary structure, because quaternary structure relates to individual polypeptide units interacting with each other. You have A chain, and A chain is going to help you get disulfide bonds. That's quaternary structure. It's not one continuous polypeptide chain. change. So we have individual chains that interact with each other. What we discovered is that we're talking about quaternary structure. Okay? Tertiary structure, with the Bible, we have one end, it went, folded this thing, we have another end. We have two polypeptide chains interact with each other, we have quaternary structure. So things that have what we call multiple subunits will in fact always have quaternary structure. The difference between hemoglobin and myoglobin is that hemoglobin has 4 polypeptide chains, myoglobin only have 1. So myoglobin, because it only has 1 polypeptide chain, does not have quaternary structure. Does not have quaternary structure. Hemoglobin has 4, and those 4 units interact with each other. We'll see that interaction is very important. That interaction is quaternary structure. So you might say, what kind of forces stabilize quaternary structure? And it turns out what stabilizes quaternary structure? The same thing that stabilizes tertiary structure. Disulfide bonds help chains together in insulin. Disulfide bonds do that. Hydrogen bonds can help hold them together. Hydrophobic bonds can help hold them together. Quite a wide variety of ways to stick together. Ionic bonds can hold them together. Disulfide bonds are not real common ways to hold the chains together. Most proteins don't use disulfide bonds to stabilize quaternary structure. Most of them don't. Here is an example of protein called Pro. Pro has a very important function in bacterialization known as penta. And Pro is an example of a protein we call a dimer. It has 2 identical subunits, one shown in red here and one shown in yellow. They're arranged in almost a mirror image of each other. And that arrangement, just like tertiary structure, is important for the function of Pro. We disrupt the quaternary structure, or we disrupt the function of Pro. So forces that help stabilize quaternary structure are also important because they help to give the protein the appropriate function. See auto. Now, we see the Pro has the sort of ring-like thing, those are the beta strands. We see that it has an alpha, it has 2 alpha, 3 alpha helices on the outside. And this is not uncommon of a golden protein. And we see this units of beta strand and also alpha helix there. In this case, we see that these beta strands are what are the interactions between each other and give the protein its overall structure shape. Yes, question? This is the same shape of mirror, yes, yes. I would call symmetrical. This is symmetrical, yeah. This is mirror one, yeah. That's exactly what it is. The second versus the second one is reflected in the other. So we have symmetry, you have planes of symmetry, you have light symmetry. This thing has a it's not right hand left. It's not right hand, it's right hand. That's right. That's right. Okay. So you me down. This is my right hand. My right hand is no way from my right hand. And my left hand together the same line. Okay. So what you see in Pro is you have the same polypeptide chain, which is arranged in a mirror fashion each other. So I take this hand, this left hand, superfocal left hand here together, and in this fashion. That's what Alright, the quaternary structure, we'll say a lot more about hemoglobin next week. Hemoglobin is a protein, as they said, that has 4 polypeptide chains. It has 2 identical units called alpha, and 2 other identical units called beta. So we refer to hemoglobin as an alpha 2, beta 2 protein. Again, we'll say a lot more about that. It turns out that in hemoglobin, the arrangement of these proteins is not only critical for its function, but it gives hemoglobin some very, very interesting and important properties relative to carrying oxygen in the body. I think, and I hope to convince you that hemoglobin is one of the most interesting proteins that you will ever see. Because at the molecular level, what hemoglobin is doing is absolutely remarkable. And the remarkable nature of hemoglobin arises to a large extent from its quaternary structure. We'll spend the whole day talking about the properties of hemoglobin relative to that. Okay, and last here is an example of a virus. Remember I talked early on about how viruses self-assemble? This shows the self-assembly of proteins of a virus called a rhinovirus. Many of you are walking around with rhinovirus right now because they cause common cold. And they self-assemble as I noted before. And you can see that in this case different proteins, for common proteins are green, light red, and blue, but they arrange themselves as here today capsid, which is basically a composite of security, their capsid. Very elaborate quaternary structure here. Okay, well, what I want to do now, I talked about different levels of sequence. What I want to do now is spend a few minutes talking about examples of that. One of the examples I would give is a very interesting and unusual protein called ribonuclease. Ribonuclease is an enzyme. An enzyme you realize are catalyzed reactions. And the reaction of this enzyme catalyzes might seem like why? First, you haven't really studied this stuff before. Ribonuclease breaks down RNA. You know, you digest eggs, so you have to digest it. You break down RNA, you digest it. So it turns out your cells are loaded with RNA. So RNA is ribonuclease, so RNA. Right? Your cells are loaded with this stuff. Why do you want to break down your RNA? Well, it turns out breaking down your RNA is important because RNA is a protein. And you don't always want protein being made. Being able to break it down after you made it is a very important consideration. Ribonuclease is something that if you ever have to work with RNA, it's very crazy. Because it breaks down RNA, you're going to work with RNA, it's all over your lab material, and you have your nice RNA, you put it in the test tube, and next thing you know, your RNA is completely broken down. Damn. Okay, well, most enzymes I can take, and I just steam them up, and I stick them in the autoclave, and they get nature, and there's no enzymes left. The ribonuclease is unfortunately not one of the enzymes you do that with. That's what makes it an interesting enzyme. It's why it's an interesting enzyme. This interesting enzyme has amazing thermal stability. Very, very thermally stable. I can heat it up, I can temperature. If I cool it back down, it's still active. Most enzymes I can't do that, so for the reason I did before. But what is it that gives ribonuclease these properties? Well, one of the things I hope you recognize that it has, that gives it these properties, is disulfide bonds. Disulfide bonds are helping to hold us together. And you say, well, disulfide bonds are present in most proteins, right? So why aren't most proteins like ribonuclease? It turns out that ribonuclease, these disulfide bonds are rather like critical building components of the building. Okay? They are present at the most important structural portions of this protein. Just like in a building you have beams, you have beams in this room that are very critical for holding up the ceiling above us. Okay? If I had randomly put beams in here, the ceiling would probably be up there, and it might not be as stable as it is if I really engineer and organize it. Ribonuclease has those beams, that is the disulfide bonds, present in the very critical points. That means that when I take this guy and boil it, by the way, boiling of protein does not destroy disulfide bonds. It's not strong enough to break covalent bonds. When I boil it, I can see some of these reagents that might be interacting coming apart, but because these critical beams are in place, after they come apart, when it cools back down, they just very quickly come back together and remake that functional enzyme. This enzyme is capable of doing something called folding. Its beams are directed in the proper places. When you unfold, coming back together is almost a natural thing to do. That's what this protein does. So that's pretty cool. There's other cool things about this protein that are interesting. If I take chemical reagents, I can break disulfide bonds. The cells are capable of breaking disulfide bonds. And in the laboratory, we can do this as well. In the laboratory, we can use a chemical called mercaptoethanol. The structure is there. No, you don't see the structure. But mercaptoethanol, MERCAPTOETHAN, well, mercaptoethanol. Success. Now, what mercaptoethanol does is it converts disulfide bonds in proteins into sulfides. In the process, mercaptoethanol becomes itself oxidized and makes disulfide bonds. Okay. The end result, though, is that this protein which had disulfide bonds before no longer has disulfide bonds. Okay. Yes. This is a chemical reagent. It's a chemical reagent. Sorry, I didn't say so. There are other things that can okay. Now, if I take other reagents that I can use to disrupt structures of proteins, so you see some of them here, urea, 1,8 chloride are used to break hydrogen bonds. And mercaptoethanol is obviously the isolate that breaks disulfide bonds. Let's take a nice surrounded reagent, and I treat it with all of these things, and I heat it up. What's going to happen to it? Well, what's going to happen to it? Structures that were holding it together now no longer hold together in bonds. Do you suppose vitamin A would be functional in this state right here? You're supposed to say yes, because you can't talk about the right? No, this is not stable. Denature enzymes, denature proteins are not functional. This guy is functional. However, if I start removing those reagents out of this protein, something really interesting happens. I start seeing a little bit of retin-related activity returning. With the vast majority of proteins out there, you don't see this. But you do see it with this guy. And the fact that we see it with this guy tells us something very, very, very important. What is it? Well, it's more than bigger than that. So it's actually important about it, but it tells us something very critically important about protein structure. Okay, so you want to try? Okay, sure. All right. So what this tells us is that the only information that's there for this guy to refold is the protein sequence. This is confirmation of what I told you at first, that you just took on faith from me, and that is that the sequence of amino acids determines all the other structural components. Because the sequence of amino acids causes this guy, at least some of these guys, to refold. And not only to refold, but to fold properly. Now, the one protein is important. I won't know why that happens here. It's not here. This protein which does work. Yes. Okay, so the question is, do you refold because the disulfide bonds reform, or what do you guys think? Do you suppose the disulfide bonds reform? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say no. The yes is yeah, you're right. Okay, sometimes the yeses are wrong, but in this case, yes. The refold brings those guys back in close proximity, and they're there. Now, something curious happens with this guy, though. I said we didn't get all of it. We got some of it. Okay. We didn't get all of it. We got some of it. Why don't we get all of it? What's going to happen? There's a lot of ways folding happens. It only results in functional protein. Next time I'm going to tell you about mad disease and how it's a disease of misfolding. What happens? Okay. Which is some of these guys. A very curious thing, and I'll leave you with a thought puzzle before we go talk today. Oh, there you go, right? The thought puzzle is, if I do the same experiment, instead of removing all the mercaptoethanol and all of the urea, I mean, with mercaptoethanol, I get a heck of a lot more functional protein. I want you to think about that. I'll give you the answer to that next time. Meanwhile, I'll do the song about protein structure. I'd like to sing with you. It is the tune of A Little Town of Bethlehem. You guys sing loud though. Oh, little Bogie, molecule, you're lovely and serene, with 20s winter on like 15 and alanine. Your secondary structure has ditches and repeats. Awakes in alpha, he will see, and made up lead cheese. The llama sovereign thoughts are predictions made to try to tell the structures you can have more angles by a line. And tertiary structure gives polypeptide thing, because the magic that occurs in protein folding. A folded enzyme active and starts to catalyze when activators bind into its allosteric sites. Some other mechanisms control the enzyme rate by regulating synthesis and placement of phosphates. And all the information that's found inside a cell reminds the students learning in a pathway straight from hell. You always should remember the good stuff, not the stem. Amino acid charges will be part of your exam. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to answer it. Okay. Because nobody wants to get started. Right? I've got CNC coming to try to deal with this noise. If I hear any noise, I'm not sure what it is, but hopefully they do. There's something in the field somewhere in the wiring, I'm not sure. Okay, so we've pretty much made our way through protein structure, and what I want to do is try to answer the question I posed at the end of last lecture. The question I posed was as follows. I can take my nuclease, which is very stable, and by nucleating out the nuclease, I boil it, it comes back together, and it works just fine. If it's incredibly age and I treat it with retinool, which converts disulfide bonds into sulfide bonds. And now what I do with urea is just hydrogen bonds and I boil it. When I discover that I can pretty much denate the enzyme. If I take all of those components out, I take retinool away and I take away the urea, what I discover is that a little bit or some of that enzyme come back together and will still be active, which tells us, as I noted, that the information for folding properly is contained in the sequence of amino acids. There's nothing else externally that's causing that to happen, because the only thing the two is what I started with, the ribonuclease. Now, the question I posed was, if I take those components away and I leave a little bit for cathephenol, what I discover is I can make more of the enzyme be active. I can make almost all of the enzyme become active again. It's my question was how and why. Okay. And somebody looked at the last and right answer, so I'll throw it out to you and see how many others think you know the answer to that question. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does anybody will be brave and say up in front of your classmates? Nobody? Yeah. Yes. Right, so we said was that lubricant can help fix the incorrect disulfides that come back together. There's a couple ways that these things come back and make the wrong disulfide bonds. One is just by bumping into each other. They bump into each other. Okay, this polymer chain over here has a sulfide, this polymer chain over here has sulfide. They bump into each other. They're going to make disulfide just fine, but that's not keeping them folding properly. The other thing that can happen is during the folding process, there are many possible states. And the normal process, when that enzyme is being made one amino acid at a time. So there's order to how it's coming together, and therefore there is some order to how those polypeptides, how those disulfide bonds form. However, when you have a long chain that's already made, and you say come back together, there are possible ways to fold it whenever it's possible. In the original synthesis of the enzyme different. So she said, how do you control that folding? You have a little bit of metabolism and all that. What you're doing is you're not controlling it. You're saying that when this thing folds and it gets to this disulfide bond, and this disulfide bond is broken by metabolism, but it's yet to refold. Okay. You can't. That's correct. Okay, so the folding process, as you already saw, will to some extent give you somewhat normal and active enzyme. The folding process is dynamic. That is, it's going on this whole time it's sitting there in the solution. So we can get to a state that was okay, and then the disulfide bonds one wasn't quite right. We break the disulfide bonds. It's dynamic, so it's still trying to fold, still trying to do its thing, and eventually finds the correct state. That's basically what's happening with them. So folding is an absolutely phenomenal and magical process. Yes, Lauren. Why doesn't it break the right disulfide bond? The answer is it can and does. But the right disulfide bond are only structural components. You can break the right disulfide bond, and the enzyme will still be active. Okay? So you can take a properly folded enzyme, treat it with cathephenol, and the enzyme still breaks down RNA. But it will be stable by temperature. These are beams, they're structural beams, they're holding it together. The ones that have already expressed, the normal structure will hold. Okay, good question. Yes? No, the RNA is what axons. The RNA has nothing to do with the enzyme. So the RNA is the substrate, the enzyme axon for itself, so it has nothing to do with the RNA. Okay, before I finish this topic, I want to take one other consideration. Another consideration is how immense the folding problem is. Now, we're pretty good at recognizing amino acid sequences that will give rise to alpha helices. And we're pretty good at recognizing amino acid sequences that give rise to base strands. And we're also pretty good at recognizing when events will occur. Like I said, we're terrible at being able to predict the 3D structure of a person. What the heck? No secondary. Another event. Why can I put it in the proper position? I want to give you an illustration of a problem that I have not made up. Okay? An illustration of a problem that I have not made up. The problem is this. If you take, and the calculation has been done, you take a polypeptide chain that has 50 amino acids. 50 is pretty small. 50 amino acids polypeptide chain goes through. Oh, yeah, okay, so anyway, okay. All right, thank you. Keep that way. All right, so, 50 polypeptide chain, very small polypeptide chain. When you look at all the possible rotational angles and all the different ways that the 50 polypeptide amino acid chain is in, you can determine how many theoretical possible structures that exist. And so one notion about how folding occurs is, well, folding is a random process. We talk about the evidence for ribonuclease, okay? Here it goes the wrong way, here it comes back and it folds the right way. If there's a random, just eventually finds the proper thing, and that's fine. That's been pretty much disproven, and the reason it's disproven is the following. People have taken those numbers, they have calculated for almost different possible positions for a very, very small polypeptide chain. And if they take those numbers and they assume that one of those possibilities could occur every 1 billionth of a second. Okay? Every 1 billionth of a second. And we, instead of doing it at polypeptide chain, we have a computer doing it. We have a computer say every 1 billionth of a second, look at this possible configuration, and this possible configuration, and this possible configuration. So in 1 second, you can do a billion calculations for a billion possible structures that will be there. Because it's the most powerful computer on Earth. In fact, if you took all of the most powerful computers on Earth, and you apply them simultaneously to the problem, okay, it would take 1 million times the age of the universe to solve it. 1 million times the age of the universe to solve the problem. Okay? That's a pretty hard number to get your head around. It tells us that folding is not a random process. Okay? Folding is not a random process. We know folding is driven by amino acid sequence, and we know some of the generalities of amino acid sequence. Getting that right structure is something that they said we may not come up with a computer answers for that. It's one of the big problems of biology. It's called the protein folding problem, because people would love to be able to determine protein structures in their sequence. You can't do it. So as it is today, we have to look at using techniques like X-ray crystallography or magnetic resonance to determine structures of proteins. It's kind of tools for every kind of system. Okay, not like that typically affects the universe for almost 5 years what they figure. Until I'm crazy, whatever. Okay. All right. The second one about protein folding is something probably the first thing about I want to mention as well, and that is a very interesting phenomenon associated with the problem of protein folding. The problem was recognized years ago in the form of some odd animal diseases. One is called Bentau disease, others called Scurvy, others cheek. It's now known that these types of diseases occur almost all the way through the animal kingdom, as well as in the beings. The disease of the being called Bushveld-Jacob syndrome, and it is a debilitating neurodegenerative disease that results in dementia. It occurs pretty rapidly, and the person dies from that. Cows, sheep, all the other organisms that get all the same related type symptoms. They're all having problems with nerves that are basically being destroyed, and they go crazy in the process. It was shown back in the 1980s that this thing that causes disease was very unusual. No matter how hard people looked to find the virus or the bacteria that caused it, they could find nothing. They could find absolutely nothing. They could find viruses anywhere, they could find bacteria anywhere, but nobody could pull up anything out of this. And it was very puzzling. But Andy Stanley Kusner, who everybody laughed at and opposed it, and later wanted to apply for his opposition, said that the problem is that this is not an infectious thing like a virus. It's not an infectious thing like a bacteria, but instead the infectious thing is the protein. And that was, they said, ridiculed, agreed with scorn, because the notion that a protein could be infectious all by itself really seems to violate everything we know about biology. Because with viruses and bacteria, they all have DNA, RNA genomes that allow us to reproduce. A protein all by itself doesn't have information to reproduce to how their protein be infectious. But that's what it said. So that's what it said. And so that was right. It turns out that the protein is not, in fact, an infectious protein like the virus goes from one thing to another. It is infectious, and it is a protein. But it's your own protein. It's your own protein. It's a protein that we all have in our brains. It's the brains of every animal. It's even the mammalian organisms. The things related to it in organisms like yeast that are going to cellular. This protein, in its normal state, has functions in the brain that allow the brain functions that aren't completely understood. But what's known about this is that this normal protein is the only iron galaxy. I get a mutation in this protein. They get a sequence that makes the protein now make bad protein. And the answer is that's not the case. It's known that bad cows, for example, don't suffer from mutant protein. They have a 100% normal protein, at least in terms of the amino acid sequence. What happens is that they have this normal version of the protein that has made an error in its folding during synthesis. And it makes an error in folding. It is significant consequence, but the way in which this thing happens is really remarkable. It appears that the misfolding of this protein induces identical copies of this to misfold as well. Okay, so that's why it appears like it's an infectious thing, because what it's doing is that once it gets started, it doesn't stop. It keeps multiplying itself. More copies of the protein get made, more misfolded copies of the protein get made. And what happens is you develop in your brain what are called plaques, which are these giant collections of these proteins that are misfolded. As you see here, here's another one, here's a misfold that's shown here. These plaques actually destroy their cells. That's what gives rise to the dementia that people have, that cows have, etc. Now, the question arises is how infectious are these from one person to another, how infectious are these from one organism to another. It's a topic that's somewhat controversial. But there's evidence that there may be, there's some evidence that you may be able to contract, for example, man-cow ADP. Yeah. Now, in this country, supposedly we expect to monitor all of these devices that happen, although the inspection rates pretty low. In Great Britain, the evidence that this comes out is that in Great Britain in the 1980s, they had a man-cow outbreak, and they did not, in fact, have an inspection. So the man-cow, meat from man-cow was made it into the British food supply. And a few years later, they had a great increase in a form of Creutzfeldt-Jakob syndrome that still resulted in death. But it wasn't exactly like the original. The thought was perhaps these people, because of the large number of increase of people who got this, perhaps what had happened was they got the food supply, and they had in fact tracked it there. It's controversial because it's not established before, but the numbers are a little disturbing. But perhaps the more disturbing fact about this is the stability of this misfolded protein. You might say, my food, I don't have to worry about it. And the answer is, you do. Because what tends to destroy this protein or unfold this protein by heat is typical temperatures of about 700 degrees Fahrenheit. And they have more danger from the DNA adduct that they created in burning it than anything else. Okay? So that fact alone is going to make it vegetarian. I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that that's what happens to people. Yes. That's right. Yeah. It is related to the question is, well, this thing is folding. Why is it folding like a proper protein? The answer is that there are multiple ways of folding. You sort of saw this with regular a little bit, where we get misfold if we get the thing in the proper context, and probably that's what happens here. Okay. So it's probably in some way getting a misfold, and once you start misfolding, you're host. So there are many different states of folding. And so this is probably at the level of this suffering. Okay. And your body has misfolded proteins, and probably normally just discards them, but because they're not functional, they just sit around and do that. This is what we know about because it multiplies. That's how we know that. Yes, please. They're all misfolded exactly the same way. Yes. 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 Well, it's kind of a hard question to argue, because once you get one, you say you want to do that. So did it start out okay and then flip, or did it misfold on the way to being okay? It's not a question of the answer. Yeah. So it makes them fold improperly as they're going through. It doesn't give you an input to that. As it's folding, it interrupts the process, and it makes it fold like that. So it's an error during the folding process, not something that takes apart the folds, but an error during the folding. Okay. Yes, last minute. Yes. Very good question. Okay. Is this something that because it's why is this taking more protein? I don't know the answer to that, but what may well be happening is when the cell doesn't have enough protein to start making more, it compensates for it, and so it's making this protein for a reason. It needs this protein, and so when it doesn't have enough protein, what's it going to do? It starts writing out more. Yes. I don't have an answer to that question. Clearly, this guy is pretty resistant to that attack. So it's an extraordinarily stable protein. I don't have an answer for why it's not attacked by this, but yes, right. I would say it's both different every context. It's not random things like that, but there are possible ways of thinking of other things. That's really what's happening here. And for the most part, you're never aware because you just hold a protein that's in your thumb, and it doesn't function itself. You don't know that. You don't know this because A, it's duplicating itself, and B, causes problems. So you don't know that amount of a regular misfolded protein. Now, this is leading me to one more question you don't know here. Yeah. Did I what? No, we don't know when it's basically misfolded. We don't know. Okay, so we don't know what may cause these misfolded to occur. What we do know is once you get misfolded one, you're going to misfold one. That must be it. So if you're getting a diet, you're going to get a problem. That's the problem. Okay. Now, folding the protein is clearly very important. And so because the concern died with this idea that the protein folding random, so forth, we're going to try to finish this line. It's not right. Okay. But you can see that there could be some problems with proteins in this fold. And so cells are ahead of us in this scheme. The cells have structures of proteins called chaperones that actually help proteins to fold properly. I think I say, why don't they work here? The answer is they don't have the answer. Okay. But chaperones are little complexes to allow a protein to fold properly. How in the world does a complex allow a protein to fold properly? Let me give you an example that might make sense to you. Let's imagine that I am a lysosome. Ribosome is a big mix of proteins. And I'm shooting along the mRNA, reading the sequence of nucleotides, and I start putting together amino acids. The amino acid tail starts coming out with me. Okay? That's what happens during the synthesis of protein. The amino acid tail starts coming out of the ribosome. The amino acid tail has, an amino acid that has side chains that have chemical properties. Right? And what have I told you about hydrophobic amino acids? Well, they don't like water, right? And where are they being swirled out into? Out of the ribosome. Right in the water. Okay? So what do you suppose they want to do? They want to avoid water. How do they avoid water? Well, one way they can avoid water is by folding. But the problem is the whole protein is bigger, so it's not able to completely cover those up. Those hydrophobic residues are still sitting out there, so that if behind me on the same messenger RNA there's another ribosome that is swimming along making exactly the same protein, it's going to have exactly the same hydrophobic residues sticking out there. Do you suppose they may associate with each other? You betcha. And if they associate with each other, they will not fold properly. This is probably the reason why cells have chaperones. So it's to keep things that would otherwise not fold properly isolated from each other. That's what the chaperone is basically. They provide a little chamber into which the protein can be put, so that it's not interacting with other things that cause it to misfold, and it folds on its own. Very cool thing. The chaperones are involved now. I'll spell it for you. CHAPERONIN. Chaperones. Okay, I think that's what I want to say here. Yes. Well, I should one thing. So we have the amino acid sequence and secondary structure. This table shows a ranking in terms of the likelihood of different amino acids to be found in alpha helices, beta strands, and reverse turns. Higher number, more likely. But that by itself can't be taken totally by itself, okay? Because of the fact that it takes a sequence of 3 of these in a row, okay, to indicate likeliness. So one of the rules is if you have 3 amino acids in a row that have a ranking over 1.0, the likelihood it will appear in that structure is high. So for example, if I had glutamine, glucanic acid, alanine, leucine in a row, the likelihood of it being part of an alpha helix is pretty high. I can similar thing with beta strands, I can similar thing with reverse turns, and they said they're just not exactly. It's a pretty good idea about where things lie. Yes. No, it's a turn I showed you this one. A turn would be part of the helix turn. The helix turn helix includes the helix turn and helix. Okay, so the reverse turn is just the within itself. Okay, very much. Okay, so that's what I want to say when I say about protein structure. There's some other questions. Okay, let's try to protein characterization, for which we're going to now use some of our structural knowledge to understand proteins at another level. Most of what I'm talking about here involves purification of proteins. And I'll be talking about some ways in which we study protein structure. That will occur on Monday. Okay? So protein purification is something that, if you're a biochemist, you can't be a biochemist and not be interested in protein purification. The proteins, as I always like to say, are the workhorses of the cell. And whenever we try to solve a biological problem, it ultimately comes down in almost every case to the protein. Biochemists believe in the principle of divide and conquer. And that's not a principle of how they teach their students, because they don't particularly teach. But rather in dividing the cell and purifying components, so that you have pure components to work with. And if you understand the function, if you only have pure components to work with, understand that function of one thing, it's a lot easier to do that. If you have 1,000 things that are mixed together and you're saying you think that what you're seeing happening to do with one thing is very easy to pick up. So we have to purify. You have to get proteins isolated from each other. And to help purify proteins is a very important, useful tool. Okay? Your book, for bizarre reasons, talks about my but it has nothing to do with protein purification. I think that's there. Instead, when you go into any biochemistry laboratory, one of the first things that you always notice is it's almost impossible to find a laboratory that doesn't have a centrifuge. So centrifuges are critical for us being able to isolate components from cells. If I'm interested in a protein, let's say I'm interested in hemoglobin from blood cells, I can get a bunch of blood cells, I can go grind them all out, I can treat them with a sonicator, bust them open or whatever, and then all of that mix of that cell will be contained in the tube in which I can just bust it open these cells. Centrifugation is almost always the first step in extracting or pulling out the things that are of interest. So centrifugation allows us to use centrifugal force, sort of artificial gravity, to precipitate things. You can quickly use chemistry labs and so forth. The faster the rate with which you spin the tube, the smaller the things that you can precipitate with them. And things that don't precipitate at a given centrifugal force end up being what we call supernates. Okay? Right. So, I can take and spin it most speed, and I can spin down, for example, cells in the first place. I can take that, those cells, I can bust them open, I can spin them down at a higher rate, and I can isolate cellular organelles like nuclei, like mitochondria, or like pieces of cells. We've seen all of these cases right here. Okay. If the thing I'm interested in is the nuclei, here's what I'm going to work with. I'll take the nuclei, I'll bust them open, and I'll get the protein out there. If I'm interested in mitochondria, I'm going to take that here, I'm doing the same thing. It may be components of cells, like membrane structures inside cells, the protein is embedded in. Or last, it may simply be dissolved in the cytoplasm, which is going to be reciprocated after I've done all of these processes. So I have to go looking through. In some cases, when I start purifying protein, I don't know where it's going to be. I don't know. It's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. And if I'm trying to purify, I don't exactly know what it is. All I know is what it does. Okay. So in the case of hemoglobin, I'm trying to follow hemoglobin. One of the things I know hemoglobin does is it binds oxygen. So I put an oxygen sensor into a tube. I can take a little bit of this, extract, 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 or two, and see which one I want to put oxygen in. Couple of oxygen. What I just described to you is a way of determining where my protein is, what extract my protein is contained in. So we're going with protein purification. I have what's called an assay. Assay is simply a measurement of the protein's activity. The phase by oxygen. Now, the other techniques that I use depend upon which of those extracts I pull out. In each case, my extract is going to have my protein almost always dissolved in water after I've done something to it, whether I've bust open the nuclei or bust open the mitochondria or something like that. But busting open, of course, doesn't guarantee purification, because there are a lot of proteins that are found in the nuclei, thousands of them. There are thousands of proteins found in mitochondria, and thousands of proteins found in cytoplasm, thousands of proteins found in any of these different plants that we saw. So the other techniques are used on top of, in addition to, the centrifugation. So one technique is very useful. You probably play with a little bit in biology lab.